Yakuza 3 is bad. No, Yakuza 3 is good. Yakuza Kiwami 3 is good. No, Yakuza Kiwami 3 is bad. You all started to care about the game when it got a Kiwami, huh? Actually, the game is not that good or that bad either. All think Yakuza 3 suck. Yakuza 3 is the greatest game of all time. Yakuza 3 is one of those games that you feel that the developers and the voice actors really put it passion and love in. In 2019, the voice actor for Kiryu Kuroda and the producer and the director Sato was asked what your favorite Yakuza game that you worked at, and the answer for both was actually Yakuza 3 and Yakuza 0. And that really reflects on the voice acting and the overall quality of this game. And you can see that they really cared about the game from the amount of the new stuff that was added. Most notably is the hostess dating and the hostess maker, which was not the best in this game but will come up to be one of the best mini games in the series, and also karaoke appeared for the first time in Yakuza 3, which will come up to be the most famous mini game in the Yakuza series. And you can't forget the amount of sub-stories that was in Yakuza 3, 119, which is more than recent Yakuza games. And they are not bad sub-stories. I consider some of them one of the best sub-stories in the Yakuza series. Another thing that I can't forget is the vibes of Okinawa. The not really so bright streets, the local restaurants, the people walking around, the little annoying but kinda comfy noises, and the little sub stories you do with the locals there, it really mixes up into that memorable experience. What comes up to people's mind when thinking of Yakuza 3 combat is Blackuza, and I'm here to say that it's not really as bad as the people say. In Yakuza 3 there is 88 hit actions, which is a really good number, and you can basically get use of all the environments around you. And with that you also got 76 weapons, and a lot of them are very good. And then you also got 4 training masters, which is the most amount of training masters for a single character in the Yakuza series, excluding Ishin. And from them you can learn also new abilities and moves and hit actions. Add on that you also got the boss fight finishers, and they take a big chunk of the boss health and they look very good. I'm not trying to say here that Yakuza 3 doesn't have a problem with the blocking, it definitely does, but I just wanna show that it's not as bad as the people say if you really try and do like a little bit of side stuff. And another thing is that Yakuza 3 let you experiment and play a lot with the combat. In things like the Colosseum, which have a lot of modes and a lot of really fun fights. And also you got the ultimate matches that let you replay fights from the story, and sometimes they add a little funny requirement with it. One last thing about the combat is the extra modes that you can play in Premium Adventure, and they limit you with the sources and with the ability you can use, so you can really push the combat to the limits and use everything you can. After all the points I listed, you might say, well, like, you're not the first one to figure this out, right? Like, isn't the game out for like 17 years? And I will tell you, yes, you're right. I'm not the first one to come up with this, but there's a little explanation on why Yakuza 3 was really badly received. Yakuza 3 released in Japan in 2009, and Sega brought it to the West in 2010. But they cut a lot of side content, around 21 sub-stories, many games like the hostess content, Mahjong, Shuji and Aroma Massage, and many another trophies. And the question here is why, and the answer is really simple. Back in 2010 there wasn't really much fans in the West, so Sega wasn't sure if the game's gonna do good or no, so they gave the localization team a limited budget and a short amount of time. And with all that in mind, finally after 10 years of waiting, in 2019 we got Yakuza 3 Remastered that came out and restored all the sub-stories and all the mini games. But, and this is a big but, the infamous Blackuza issue actually appeared in the remastered version. So after all of these years, when the game finally came out with the full content, it's had this really annoying issue and RG Studio didn't bother to fix it. But for Japanese Yakuza fans, they actually really liked this game, and it kinda makes sense. story of Yakuza 3 is one of the weirder things you will see in the Yakuza community. Some people say that it's one of the best stories in the Yakuza series, and some people say that it's one of the worst. And to be honest, I wanna say something for the people who say that it's one of the worst stories. You're a fucking dumb. Okay, I'm joking, guys. But Yakuza 3 is one of the most important and beautiful stories in the Yakuza series. We finally get to see Kiryu living in peace in Okinawa after many years of pain, losses, and fights. We see him chilling, relaxing, and discovering a new part of himself until he meets Rikia and go in this roller coaster of events, helping and protecting the people he loves. On the another side, we see Mane, someone who is looking for a real bond, for people who he can call friends, just to enter in this really dirty world and finally realize that this is not the place he wanted to be. Except for someone who showed him real bonds, someone who cares about him. And when he was gone, Mane was lost, and he just trying to find a meaning of his life. Such a beautiful and different story from the rest of the games, and it's definitely one of the top stories for me. And this story changed a lot about Kiryu and will affect him until this day. This video is an appreciation for this really nice game that is starting to fade away because of people greed. From passion, love and care to a quick cash grab until the next title. But that's it for this video. See you all, let's